Let's go back to our slide. Now that we understand how the web works and what the process behind searching and receiving is, let's get into writing our first HTML. What is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and this is the standard markup language for creating web pages. We have other definitions of HTML, or will I say characteristics of HTML. So HTML is used to describe the structure of a web page. It consists of series of elements. The elements in HTML tells the browser how to display the content, and then HTML elements label pieces of content on the web page, such as this is a heading, this is a paragraph, this is a link. Now, what we see over here, this HTML training, 40% off. HTML is what rendered this. Okay, HTML is what rendered this. So let's continue. Now let's look at HTML elements. An HTML element is defined by a start tag, some content, and an end tag. Okay, whenever you see a start tag and then you have some content and an end tag, that is an HTML element. So let's look at the syntax. Now we have the tag which starts with this bracket, the name of the tag, and then another bracket that closes it. This is the first, this is the start tag. And then after it, we have some content, and this is the content you want to display on the web page. After you have successfully written the content, we have the closing tag, which has a bracket, a backward slash, the name of the content, and then another closing bracket. So notice between our starting tag and our ending tag, our closing tag rather, one has a backward slash, which is the end tag, and one doesn't, which is the starting tag. So in the course of this tutorial, these are the tags we'll be focusing on: the heading tag and the paragraph tag. So let's head over to Visual Studio Code. Now the heading tag there are 6 types of heading tags: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 down to H6. Okay, H1 represents the most important heading and it is the largest heading tag, and H6 defines the least important heading. So to see how this works in practical, let's head over to VS Code and write some code. Remember, we have our empty HTML file. Now, every HTML file must have a starter code, okay? And this starter code, you can easily get it by pressing Ctrl and Shift. Shift and number 1, okay? Shift and number 1, you press it at the same time, and it will bring these 2 options up for you. So select the first exclamation mark. Once you select it, you are going to see this starter code. Now, this starter code is the building block of every HTML file. At the top of it, we have this tag, which is the doc type tag, also known as document type. And this is telling the file what kind of document it is. And then we have the HTML tag, which is the root of all tags. Every HTML file must have this tag. After it, we have the head tag, and in this head tag, this is where we write information about the web page, like the name of the web page and some, well, other data concerning the web page. And then after the head, we have the body tag. In this body tag, this is where you write the content you want to be seen on the screen. Good. So let's get in between the body tag and then let's write some content. We'll be looking at the heading tag, which is H1. So you open your first bracket, H1, and then you close it. So I am using autocomplete, that's why this automatically completed, right? So we get in between the tags and write this. Now remember the live server I asked you to install earlier. The live server I asked you to install earlier. When you navigate to the bottom of your IDE, you see this go live. And then it will open it for you. The reason why we installed live server is so that we can see the updates on our web page immediately we are writing it. Because if you don't have live server, you have to keep refreshing the page every time you make a change. Another thing you'd want to do is, I want you to navigate to manage over here, go to settings, and then search for autosave. Now for your autosave, yours is probably off, which means you have to automatically save it every time you make a change. You can put it on after delay or on focus. Mine is on focus, which means when my focus shifts from VS Code to another app, the changes I made will save. So choose yours. Now, I'm going to, remember I said the heading tag is H1 to H6. So I'm going to write another message with the H2 tag. You can see the difference between the H1 and the H2. The H1 represents the most important. And when you visit a web page, this is what your eye will catch at first, the H1 heading tag. And then we have the H2 below it. So I'm going to write for H6 and then we'll see what it looks like. You can see how small H6 is. When you visit this web page, it is going to be the last thing you notice, and that is why it represents the least important information on the web page. So I'm just going to write a message in the other heading tags like H3, H4, and H5 just to see what they look like. So you can see the representation of the hierarchy in each heading. So these are the heading tags in HTML. H1 representing important information, H6 representing the least important information. The next tag we're going to look at is the paragraph tag over here. We're going to look at the paragraph tag. Now the paragraph tag is used to embed a paragraph in your web page. Okay, and the way you can use it is the same way. You have your starting tag, your ending tag, and then you have your content between it. Now I want us to look at how the paragraph tag works, and there is something called lorem in HTML. So when you type lorem, it's going to bring this thing for you, so you can select it. Now what this lorem does is that it gives you a dummy text and you can insert as much as you want. So let's go back to the web page and view it. So you can see we now have a paragraph. If you notice, the H1, even though it is small, you can see that it still represents a heading because it is bold. But the paragraph is not bold, it is regular. So you can see the difference between a paragraph tag. You can see the difference between a paragraph tag and an ending tag and a heading tag. Okay, so this is where we stopped for the first lesson. The remaining lesson will be linked in the description. Make sure you check it out.